It's a food-filled Friday. Find out why the cost of a decadent dish is dropping. In today's cover story, why beef prices are expected to move higher. Plus, as JCPenney searches for a new CEO, is it time to hang up that stock? And in Traders Unplugged, our trading pros size up the controversy at Lululemon. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, August 9th. I'm Angela Miles. In today's first look, stocks snap back. After 2 sessions of selling, the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P all rallied as investors picked up shares of fallen stocks such as Microsoft. Gold is back above $1,300 an ounce, and oil is below $104 per barrel. More questions for JP Morgan Chase are reportedly coming from the Justice Department. Lawyers are said to be asking about Bear Stearns mortgage bonds. JP Morgan bought Bear Stearns during the financial crisis. A judge is ordering a stay in the SEC case against SAC's billionaire hedge fund manager Steve Cohen. He's accused of failing to supervise ex-employees allegedly involved in insider trading. And the White House put out late notice President Obama will hold a press conference today. On this Friday morning, we find Chris Gersh of Altimus Capital good to go at CME Group. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Angie.
A lot of interesting things happened in the market yesterday. One of them was gold. Gold back above $1,300. Is this a safe haven play or something else going on here?
Angie is not a safe haven play. I believe it's about a 2-week trade. China came out with some great numbers, and I think it's really an opportunity to for copper and platinum. In the long term, I think it's going to come out that the QE3 concerns are going to come back to the market, and it's going to hover on that 13 level. It's not a long-term upside trade.
And this is curious. Investors once again are pulling money out of the stock market, but here we are with the S&P 500 around 1,700. What would you do here?
The 1,700 level has turned into a psychological level as seen by the S&P futures pit yesterday, with it butting up against that all day. I think you take some off the table and allocate it into something a little bit more diversified. I think bonds right now is a great opportunity.
And what about Priceline? Earnings came out after the close. This has been a hot high flyer.
Priceline has been a high flyer. I'm going to take some off the table. The U.S. worker has not increased their wages, and I think that's their main market, so I'm going to take some off the table on Priceline.
Thank you, Chris.
JCPenney reportedly is under pressure to find a new CEO. According to CNBC, hedge fund manager Bill Ackman wants the JCP board to name a new leader in 30 to 45 days.
I would guess that he's just trying to spike the stock so he can get out at least somewhat of his position. That's what I think he's trying to do, because otherwise, if he was actually trying to fix the company, this is not the way to do it.
That was Margaret Bogenreef of ACM Partners. The news sent the stock 7% higher yesterday. Shares recently drifted to a year low of $12.50. Penny spokeswoman calls the demand for a new CEO rumor and speculation. Penny has struggled to win back customers after losing ground under the management of former JCP CEO Ron Johnson, who came from Apple. The retailer's sales plunged 25% after Johnson eliminated promotions and coupons. We'll have more on the stock later in Chart Talk.
The Greek crisis is hitting home. Greek Prime Minister Antonis Samaras is set to meet with Wall Street investors behind closed doors Wednesday. Yesterday, the Prime Minister spoke with President Obama at the White House. The U.S. is expected to offer support to Greece's efforts to emerge from a wicked recession. The International Monetary Fund, which has supplied Greece with $319 billion in bailout money, reports the country is making exceptional progress in stabilizing its finances, but continues to need major changes to its economy, including collecting more taxes.
Starting August 17th, members of the military won't have to worry about unpaid days off. The Department of Defense has decreased the number of furlough days from 11 to 6. Furloughs kicked in with the sequester spending cuts at the start of the year. The Department of Defense says other military spending cuts totaling $1.5 billion offset the need for all 11 days.
A privately held retailer out of Grand Rapids, Michigan is making headline news. Meijer plans to hire 9,000 workers in 5 states. It's in preparation for the back-to-school season and holidays. Most of the jobs are part-time. Hiring is actually lower than last year when stores added 12,000 employees. Meijer is hiring in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Kentucky.
In our cover story, the nation's largest meat processor, Tyson Foods, which just reported higher quarterly profits than expected due to a rebound in its beef business, took a further step that may increase the price of beef. Effective next month, Tyson says it will no longer accept cattle fed with a growth enhancer used to increase weight before slaughter. Tyson Foods told cattle feeders it will suspend its purchase of cattle fed the growth additive Zilmax. The company called it not a food safety issue, but a matter of animal well-being.
Some cattle had problems walking.
The Food and Drug Administration approved the additive, also known as Zilpaterol, in 2006. It boosts weight and muscle in livestock, but reports of animals unable to walk meant they could not be sold for human consumption.
It can't be slaughtered for human consumption unless it's able to, move through the process on its own legs, basically.
The U.S. Agriculture Department calculates 35 million head of cattle are slaughtered each year. About 51,000 determined to be unfit for humans for a variety of reasons. Tyson, which made its decision after consulting outside cattle and animal welfare experts, described the situation as significant enough to warrant action and reiterated the situation as first and foremost a matter of animal well-being.
This drug doesn't really affect the meat. It's got no effect on the meat.
But cattle futures spiked upward because it is a widely used additive and for a time may result in fewer cattle brought to market. It drove up corn prices and could raise retail beef prices in the months ahead.
If you're a mother feeding 4 kids, it's going to make a difference in your grocery bills, and I think that is where you're going to see the consumer resistance.
This also comes as hundreds of pig farmers are dealing with the outbreak of a virus deadly to piglets, driving up the price of pork.
U.S. sales at McDonald's are doing a slow simmer. Sales at franchises in America rose 0.7%. In Europe, Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, sales dropped nearly 2%. Restaurants in those regions were hit by the outbreak of a bird flu and the timing of Ramadan.
TGI Fridays employees are celebrating a welcome change. The restaurant chain was under investigation by the Labor Department after refusing to rehire employees who took legal leave. Now it's required by law to allow eligible employees to take up to 4 months of unpaid leave and be reinstated. TGI Fridays is also under fire for swapping cheap booze for premium brands. 8 restaurants in New Jersey will pay a $500,000 fine to the state for the switch.
A pop in crops following last year's drought will lead to lower food prices. Food prices hit the lowest level in a year in July. The United Nations predicts an abundance of grain on the market could cause another drop in the months ahead, especially for cereal prices this year and next year. Last summer, food prices surged as crops withered in an historic drought. Strength in the U.S. dollar could also drive down food prices because it weighs on dollar-traded commodities.
It sounds like an oxymoron, cheap lobster, but prices on lobsters have hit a low due to a glut of the usually costly crustacean, and many blame climate change as warmer waters help the lobsters reproduce at a faster rate. Fishermen paid top prices in 2005 when a pound of lobster went for $4.63 per pound. In 2012, that was down to $2.69. In restaurants such as Da Lobster in Chicago, owners are enjoying the price slump but preparing for prices to change.
I'm trying to build a good relationship and trust between me and my suppliers. So in the future, if things do shift, there's a appreciation for me being there through thick and thin.
Another threat to lobsters, a shell disease that is killing off the shellfish in parts of the East Coast.
As the summer sun turns up the heat on electricity bills, programmable thermostats that can be adjusted by smartphones are coming in handy. An energy efficiency specialist tells us changing degrees translates into dollars.
Every 2 degrees that you can go up from your set point, so let's say you usually set it at 74 and you go up to 76 degrees, so you go up 2 degrees. It can attribute to about a 3 to 5% change, depending on how hot it is out, but especially in the summer months on your energy bill. So that's a decent barometer as far as how much you can expect to save.
Other tips from Bobby DeFulgence: change out air conditioner filters every 1 to 3 months to prevent clogs that make your unit work harder. Make sure your home is properly sealed so cool air doesn't leak, and invest in a zoning system that only cools down the rooms you're in most often.
Lots of buzz on the IPO market right now. Despite denying rumors of going public, reports say Twitter has hired a stock administration analyst. The new hire is said to have handled Zynga's IPO. Word on Wall Street, hotel giant Hilton is preparing to go public. Sources tell the New York Times it would likely launch in the first half of 2014. And Fox Factory had a strong first day of trading. The company, which makes suspension products for cars, zoomed up 23% to $18.50 after pricing in at $15 earlier this week.
Fannie Mae is following Freddie Mac with impressive profits. Fannie's profits nearly doubled in the second quarter to $10 billion. Fannie will make a $10 billion dividend payment toward its $117 billion bailout. Freddie this week also reported its largest profit to date at $5 billion and will send the Treasury Department $4.4 billion for its loan.
Tiger Woods is financially back on course. Crowd sizes are swelling again for the pro golfer who tees off today at the PGA Championship. According to Forbes, Tiger once again leads as the world's highest paid athlete with earnings of $78 million. Woods was knocked down the Forbes list following an explosive affair scandal in 2009. Nike stock's also making a comeback. The company recently sealed a deal on a new contract with Woods.
Changing gears now, the Honda Civic is the only small car to earn a top rating in a new crash test. The Civic received a good rating. The Dodge Dart, Ford Focus, and two Hyundais were rated acceptable. The Tesla Model S received a 5-star rating in a different test. On the economic calendar for today, it's wholesale inventories, and on the earnings calendar, James River and White Way Foods. Still to come, a sector once tarnished that's starting to shine. Plus, Lululemon critics are in a huff over sizes. Can investors breathe easier? But first, you ask, we answer. One viewer wants to know how to get into a legit work-from-home business. That answer coming up after the break. For a question from one of our viewers. LaShawn from South Carolina writes, I watch just about every morning. I've been entrepreneurial driven for quite some time now. As you know, capital is a major part of getting a business up and running. Social Security disability is my only source of income. This is not something I dreamed of or planned on being my livelihood. Never did I want to depend on this once-a-month check. I really want and need my financial independence. Are there any affordable franchises that I could venture into that are legitimate? I was leaning toward a travel franchise. Well, thank you for writing. And to get your answer, we turn to the franchise king, Joel Labava.
I think that your viewer is looking in the right direction. I would definitely go with a home-based opportunity. There are several opportunities in the travel space that allow you to work from home. The issue becomes, can your viewer afford to only live on her income as her franchise ramps up? That's the first question, because the money is not going to be coming in right away necessarily. And the second thing is, in today's world of limited credit, that the banks are they're still not really there yet with small business loans, not all the way. Does your viewer have access to some upfront money? Because without any upfront money, it's going to be really, really challenging for her to get any kind of small business loan. Home-based franchise opportunities are still going to be in that $30,000 to $50,000 range total upfront.
As for the second part of your question, you are right. It's tough to tell which franchises and home-based businesses are legit. Here's what the franchise king suggests.
If someone says that you can make thousands a month stuffing envelopes, run. Don't go buying envelopes at the post office yet. The easiest ones to research are franchises, because part of the process that is involved is you get a list of names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses of current and even former franchise owners, and you are free to contact them. So you can ask the tough questions. But business opportunities aren't as regulated. They are not required to give you names, because a business opportunity is not branded. They have different names. Each individual owner has a different name for their company. It's a lot harder to research.
He really stresses doing your research and homework. In both cases, I would suggest contacting consumer protection agencies, the Better Business Bureau, and then calling people who have actually bought into these businesses. We hope you find work that fits your talents. If you have questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us via Twitter and Facebook or by email at comments@firstbusinessnews.com. You can also call us. The number is 312-660-8377. Coming up, a trader tells us if he thinks it's over for JCPenney stock, and our McDonald's employees winning the wage war, and will it mean losses for investors? Traders Unplugged is just around the corner. The stock jocks are at the ready for today's Traders Unplugged. Joining us from the floor, CME Group, Alan Nuckman and Andrew Keen. Good morning, and topic number one, tick tax talk. Will the stock market tick up on all this talk about tax reform?
Well, what's really interesting is that in America, we've got the lowest effective rates, or middle of the pack effective rates as far as corporate taxes go. But everybody complains about the headline tax, which really I don't think is hurting profitability.
Well, that's why you see a lot of the tech companies, Microsoft and Apple being a couple of them, keeping their money overseas. So Apple has all this cash they're hoarding. They actually don't have it. It's in Europe. They have to bring it over here. I don't know if this will actually make the stock market rally or not, but there is a big complaint in Washington about this topic.
Topic number two, doing the McMath on those McSalaries. Word has it that if you double worker wages at McDonald's, the price of a Big Mac will rise. What does this mean for the stock?
Well, this is interesting. I read a couple different studies, and some people said if they doubled the wages, it wouldn't affect the stock price at all. I don't understand how that's possible at all. If you just do the logistics of a business, if you're increasing the cost, unless you're increasing the price of a Big Mac, it's going to make
the price of a Big Mac would go up 68 cents.
That's
so
a lot.
It's not catastrophic.
Catastrophic.
Regardless,
how many Big Macs do they produce
when it comes
in a
to the
year?
stock, I'm loving it. I'm loving it here at 98.
I'm actually long puts in March for this.
96 is a huge breakout point from March, and it's holding above that, so I'm leaning on that 96 level. Look for McDonald's to make a 25% move technically from here. 25%. I'm loving it.
Topic number three, the skinny on Lululemon. Apparently the retailer is not making a lot of larger sizes. What does this mean for LULU?
Well, from a branding perspective, it's an interesting choice that they're making. I don't know how it impacts sales, but they only want skinny people to wear their clothes, so maybe that helps a perception. But looking at the stock's been trading within this range here recently, and it's got a gap at 76. So if it fills in that gap, then we can make another move. Look for it to trade between 66 and 78 for the last year. A breakout pushes it another 23% higher, so I like Lulu as well.
He likes every stock. Every stock I like it.
I like it when they sell off and then buy them lower.
You know, this is interesting because we had a topic a couple weeks ago about Abercrombie & Fitch. They didn't want any black in the store. Now they don't want any plus size, sizes at Lululemon. It's actually 30% more fabric, so their costs are going to be higher if they still go to these plus sizes. Christine O'Day, Wiz, their CEO, this is based out of Canada. She has left. So basically, when Steve Jobs passed away, I think it's going to be a couple years till we see if someone can replace her officially.
All right, on to your bonus round question now. How long did it take for the stock market to recover from the Great Depression? 10 years?
Nope.
15 years?
No.
25 years?
I picked 9 years. 9 years is what I picked.
10 then. I'll take the middle one. I'll take the one above it.
It's 25.
Oof, that's harsh.
You can give us your questions for Traders Unplugged. Just reach out to us at comments@firstbusinessnews.com. Coming up on Labor Day, a special edition. The guys will answer your questions. You can even throw in a bonus round question if you would like. Thanks, guys, for doing the show today. First Business continues right after this. Tim Bingham is ready to bring it in today's Chart Talk. Good to have you on the show, Tim. Let's start with gold. Those gold futures back above 1,300. You're not a big buyer of futures, but what would you buy here?
Yeah, absolutely. Gold not only back above 1,300, but the gold stocks, which actually have underperformed gold by a considerable margin here, starting to show some strength finally here. So looking at some of the major names, Newmont Mining being one, Barrick Gold being the other, Gold Corp, and GDX, which is kind of the basket of the gold stocks, finally showing some good upside moves here. I think going forward, gold stocks will actually outperform gold, so I'd rather be in gold stocks than gold, although I like them both from here.
As for these miners, is that a buy and hold or a trade?
Actually, a little of both. I think they will get a pop back up, probably somewhere 3 to 5%, maybe trim out some of the position, but I like them as a long-term hold here, especially if they're not already in the portfolio.
We have to ask you about JCP. Is this dead money at this point?
Well, you have to look, Bill Ackman's certainly not having a great year all the way around here, and I certainly think that even given the news today where another shakeup, the stock probably has nowhere to go but kind of trundling down from here, so I would avoid it certainly unless you're really speculative and playing for a very short-term kind of play.
Tim, thank you for your thoughts today. Have a great Friday.
You bet. Thank you, Angie.
Coming up next week, backyard farming is gaining popularity, but the explosion of chickens is showing up in animal shelters. Is it a money-saving venture or foul play? That's it for this week. From all of us at First Business, thank you for watching and enjoy your Friday.